Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. My name's Raymond. My wife never meant for me to know I raised a child for years, only to find out one day, in the most unexpected way, that he wasn't biologically mine. She never gave me the chance to make an honest choice from the beginning. That betrayal is the kind that doesn't just break your heart. It rewires your entire view of trust, of loyalty, of what it means to be chosen honestly. She never meant for me to know from the outset. And yet, I did find out by accident. But before I get to that part, let me take you back and show you how this all started. I'd known Natasha, the mother of a child, long before anything romantic ever happened between us. We were just friends. The kind you can talk to about anything without fear of being judged. She was sharp, easy to talk to, and we had this comfort around each other that didn't need to be explained. I never looked at her in any kind of romantic way. She never gave me any reason to think she did either. We had our own lives, and I respected the boundary of our friendship. Then one evening, she called me out of the blue. It was one of those calls where you could tell from the first word that something was wrong. She asked if I was home. I said yes. Then she said, "I just need someone to talk to. Do you mind if I come over?" Of course, I told her to come through. She showed up maybe 30 minutes later, looking drained. I didn't push. I just listened as she talked. She vented about everything. Work stress, life feeling like it was going nowhere, and how exhausted she felt just trying to keep up. I remember thinking, damn, she's really been carrying a lot. We sat for a long time, just her talking and me listening. I didn't realize how late it had gotten until she looked at her phone and said, "Wow, it's past 11. I offered to call her a ride, but she hesitated. That pause told me everything. I told her to crash at my place for the night. It was too late and too unsafe to head out. I even said I'd take the couch and she could have my bed. But she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "We can both use the bed. It's fine." Now I won't lie. When she said that, a part of me paused. Up until then, we'd been nothing but platonic. But there was something in the way she said it, soft, but sure. I didn't push or ask questions. I nodded and said okay. We both went into the bedroom. But that night, something shifted. What started as lying side by side turned into soft touches. The space between us disappeared. It was slow, almost like we were both searching for comfort in each other. And yeah, we made out. It was passionate, deeper than just physical. I didn't think too much about it at the time. I was in the moment. But here's the thing no one ever tells you. One moment can lead to 1,000 consequences. That night didn't just stay that night. It became the start of something much bigger than I ever imagined. And while it felt like just two friends crossing a blurry line, I had no idea I was walking into something that would completely reshape my life. 2 months after that unexpected, passionate night, I got a call from Natasha. It was in the evening. I had just gotten back from work, exhausted, and was fixing something to eat. I saw her name pop up on my screen, and I answered without thinking too much. At first, I thought it would be one of our regular chats, but her voice was different. She didn't waste time telling me she was pregnant. I was stunned. I didn't even know what to say right away. My mind froze for a second. 1,000 thoughts hit me at once. I remember my mouth opening to respond, but before I could say anything, she cut in. "I'm keeping it." Just like that. And weirdly, I didn't feel angry. I sat with it for a moment and thought, all right, I've always wanted kids. I mean, I wasn't in a relationship. She wasn't either. We were two adults who made a choice that night, maybe not the most thought out one, but still it happened. And if she wanted to keep the baby, then I wasn't going to run from it. I told her I was okay with it. From there, things changed fast. The pregnancy sort of pulled us together in a way we never saw coming. We started spending more time together, preparing for things we had zero experience with. That natural closeness that forms when you're going through something bonded us. Somewhere along the line, we looked at each other and just decided, let's do this properly. We started dating for real. We had a child coming, and we both cared about each other enough to try to build something stable. When our son was born, it changed something inside me. Hearing that baby's first cry did something to my chest. It felt like my world expanded and tightened all at once. The moment she came home from the hospital, I told her she didn't need to rush back to work. I'd handle the bills, the rent, the food, everything. I wanted her to focus on the baby. I didn't see it as me doing her a favor. I saw it as stepping up. I had a family now. Maybe not one I planned for, but one I loved. That kid became the reason I woke up early every day. He gave me a sense of purpose I never knew I needed. I started working harder to make sure there was always food on the table, diapers stocked, and the light stayed on. I'd come home some nights completely drained, but the second I saw him smile, all of it felt worth it. I was proud of what we were building. So, by the time our son turned 1, I looked at my life and I thought, this is it. This is my family. It hadn't been a planned journey, but it felt like we had built something strong out of an unexpected beginning. So I started thinking, why not make this permanent? Why not make it official? I had no doubts in my mind when I decided to propose to Natasha. I took my time picking out a ring. On the day, I didn't plan a big, dramatic proposal. I got down on one knee and told her that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I wanted to raise our son together, not just as partners, but as husband and wife. She said yes like she meant it. And for a while, it felt like everything was falling into place. We set a date for the wedding. Planning started right away. Natasha seemed happy, and I was just glad we were on the same page. It felt like a fresh chapter. Something stable. Something solid. As the wedding date got closer, Natasha's sister came to stay with us for a while. She said she wanted to help out with the planning, support her sister, and just be around during such an important time. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, it made sense. People usually lean on family for things like this. She helped with the baby when Natasha was busy. I'd come home from work and find them together. It felt like a normal, happy time for all of us. I came back home one evening from a regular walk I like to take sometimes when I want to clear my head or stretch my legs. But for some reason that evening, I decided to use the back door instead of the front. There was no real reason for that, just a quiet decision. And that little decision changed my entire life because Natasha and her sister didn't hear me come in. They were in the kitchen, talking at first. I wasn't trying to sneak up on anyone, but as I stepped closer, I heard Natasha's voice, and what she said left me speechless. I heard her say, "He's been a good man, but I can't keep living like I owe him something. He chose this. I didn't force him. I only told him I am pregnant. I never mentioned he's the father." I stood frozen, but before I could make sense of everything, her sister responded, "But does he even know he's not the father?" And Natasha, the woman I'd built a life with, said, "No, and he never will. What good will it do now?" I can't describe how it felt. My knees even felt weak. All I could do was turn around quietly and leave the way I came. I didn't say a word, because in that moment, I wasn't sure what would come out of me if I walked into that kitchen. That night, I sat alone in my car for a long time, thinking, questioning everything. I couldn't sleep. I got back into the house late and acted normal. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I went online and ordered a home DNA test kit. I needed the proof, because even though I heard her say it, part of me still wanted to believe there was some explanation. When the kit arrived, I waited until the child was asleep. I gently swabbed the inside of his cheek, being careful not to wake him. I sealed the sample, packaged it, and mailed it off. Then I waited. And let me tell you, those few days were the longest of my life. I already knew the answer deep down, but I was hoping I was wrong. But no. When the results came back, they confirmed it. I was not the biological father. It's strange how silence can be louder than screaming. I didn't cry, I just sat down and stared into nothing. Because when someone lies to you about something that deep, something that personal, it doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your sense of reality. And from that moment on, I knew there was no going back. I just sat in the living room, staring at the DNA results on my phone. I knew I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't keep building a life on a lie, no matter how much I had already invested in it emotionally. So I waited for the right moment. The next morning, Natasha was in the kitchen, humming to herself, and the boy was playing with his toys in the corner. I took a deep breath, walked over to her, and handed her the envelope, then said, "Open it." She looked at me, confused. "What's going on?" she asked. I repeated myself. "Just open it." She slid her finger through the seal, unfolded the paper, and the moment her eyes hit the results, her whole body went still. I watched her face change in real time, and after a few seconds, she looked up at me, eyes already welling with tears, and began sobbing. I just asked her one question. "If I never heard what you said to your sister, would you have ever told me?" She couldn't look me in the eye. She collapsed onto the kitchen stool, burying her face in her hands. "You were there when I needed someone," she said through her tears. "You said you'd be okay with it. You said you wanted kids, and I thought it didn't matter anymore." Yes, I had said I'd be okay with it, but I said that thinking I was the child's actual father. I said that based on trust, based on a lie she let fester for nearly 2 years. She had taken my willingness to step up and twisted it into a justification for silence. And no matter how much she cried or explained, it didn't change the fact that I had been robbed of a truth I deserved to know from the beginning. I looked at her and told her it was over. "The wedding is off," I said. "I want you to pack your things and leave. And take your child with you." She tried to say something, probably explain or apologize again, but I didn't stick around to listen. I turned and walked out the front door. I needed air because everything else had been stripped from me. For the next couple of days, she stayed in the house, hoping I'd cool off or change my mind. But I didn't. I told her clearly. If she didn't move out, I'd take legal steps to make it happen. She knew I wasn't bluffing. Eventually, she packed up and moved in with her sister. And the illusion of our happy little family was gone. It had barely been a week since Natasha packed her things and moved out to her sister's place when I got served with papers. She was suing me for child support. I stared at the envelope like it was a joke. I had just uncovered the biggest lie of my life, and now she wanted me to pay for him? The audacity hit me harder than the DNA test result ever did. I was already emotionally drained, trying to rebuild my sense of self after realizing I had been raising another man's child under false pretenses. But apparently, that wasn't enough damage for her. When I walked into the courtroom, I had this naive hope that once I explained the truth, the judge would see things for what they were. I stood there and told them plainly, I was tricked. I had no reason to believe the child wasn't mine because Natasha never once suggested otherwise. I found out by accident, by hearing something I wasn't supposed to hear. I explained how she had never told me directly I was the father, and I assumed naturally because of the timing. And she allowed that lie to live for years. But when the court's ruling came, they said that because I had signed the birth certificate, I was legally recognized as the father. According to them, the signature meant I had accepted full responsibility, and the law wasn't going to overlook that. The judge went on to say the court's main concern was the child's stability. He was nearing 2 years old, and changing the only father figure he had ever known could cause emotional harm. It didn't make sense. They were focused on protecting a child, but not once did anyone ask how protecting me from this kind of betrayal was also important. I left that courtroom furious, but I wasn't ready to accept defeat. My lawyer and I went straight back to work, filing a motion to disestablish paternity. This time, I came armed with everything. The official DNA results that confirmed I was not the biological father, the context of the overheard conversation, even though it wasn't recorded, and the biggest point of all, fraudulent misrepresentation. Natasha had knowingly let me believe the child was mine. She could have corrected the misunderstanding. She chose not to. Thankfully, this time, the system worked. The court accepted my petition. They acknowledged the DNA evidence and the fact that there was deception involved. I was officially removed as the child's legal father. I no longer had to pay child support, and my name was stripped from the responsibilities that had been unfairly placed on me. That moment was a strange mix of relief and grief. But at least I was free from the legal chains of a lie I never asked for. Free from the constant reminder that love, no matter how genuine, can be weaponized by the wrong person. After everything unraveled, I wasn't just emotionally drained, I was angry. And truth be told, I wanted justice. I didn't just lose a relationship. I lost time, money, trust, and years of memories that were built on lies. My jurisdiction doesn't recognize paternity fraud as a cause of legal action. In plain terms, it means I couldn't sue her for tricking me into thinking the child was mine. It didn't matter that I raised him believing I was his father. All of that counted for nothing in court. I also asked my lawyer if there was any way to get back some of the money I spent. But my lawyer was honest with me. Family courts aren't designed to handle emotional damage, the same way civil courts might with a contract breach or a car accident. They don't award money for emotional betrayal or for being deceived into a role that changed your life. The law saw me as a man who voluntarily stepped into fatherhood. They didn't care that I was never told the full truth. So I walked away with nothing. And you know what? That might have hurt more than the betrayal itself. It made me realize that not every wound gets stitched up in court. Some you just live with. As for Natasha and the boy, I cut all contact completely. I don't know where they are, how they're doing, or what life looks like for them now. And I don't care to know. Whatever love or care I had was buried the moment I read that DNA result and heard the truth spill from her lips. A love built on a lie is like a house on sand. No matter how beautiful it looks, it can't stand forever. I've come to accept that some betrayals don't leave visible scars. And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Always ask questions, even when things seem perfect. Lies don't always come dressed in red flags. Sometimes they show up wearing the smile of someone you love. Now that I've shared everything that happened, I want to leave you with a few lessons I learned the hard way. If my story helps just one person avoid what I went through, then maybe it was worth sharing. First, don't rush into fatherhood out of obligation. I accepted the role of a father without asking the hard questions, without confirming the facts, and definitely without protecting myself. I thought love and effort would be enough, but sometimes your good intentions can be taken advantage of. That doesn't make you weak, but it does mean you have to be smarter next time. Second, and I can't stress this enough, DNA doesn't lie. People do. I didn't want to believe I was being lied to. I didn't want to believe that the child wasn't mine. But deep down, when I heard what I heard that night in the kitchen, my body knew it was true before the paper ever confirmed it. Trust your instincts. They're not just paranoia, sometimes they're protection. And third, emotional manipulation can wear the mask of love. Be wise. Love is supposed to make you feel safe, supported, and respected. Natasha cried. She apologized. She said things like, "You said you'd be okay with it." But what she never did was give me the truth when I deserved it. She made choices for both of us without my knowledge. That's not love. That's control dressed in emotion. When someone hides the truth from you, but still lets you build your life around their lie, that's not a relationship. That's manipulation. Now, I want to ask you watching this, wherever you are, what do you think about this situation? What would you have done if you were in my shoes? I just want honest thoughts. Maybe someone out there has gone through something similar. Or maybe someone is going through it right now and doesn't even know it yet. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you in any way, or someone out there needs to hear it, please go ahead and like the video, share it with others, and let's keep having real conversations about things that actually matter. Take care of yourself, and always, always demand the truth.